Jan, welcome to Jan Simon, and welcome to everybody to this Fionia podcast. It's a great pleasure to have Jan Simon with us today. Jan is Vice President of IT and Digital in Hafnia. And Jan, I just realized you have actually been around in shipping for more than 6 years now.
Exactly, 7 years actually.
So 7 years it is even.
Yeah,
that's something. That's actually a lot, and a lot of things have changed. That's for sure over 7 years.
Yeah.
But before we get into all these changes in IT and digital, what is it actually that you do when you are vice president of IT and digital in the shipping company?
That's a very good question that also my wife asked me several times. What actually do you do? But as VP of the area IT and digital, I'm overall responsible for what you can say the classical IT landscape within Hafnia, which is cybersecurity, it's infrastructure, it's cables and laptops and all these kind of things. And then I'm also responsible for our digital strategy, which means that everything that evolves around processes and systems, data, and the use of data within Hafnia falls under my realm. So I actually have two teams in Hafnia. I have what we call an operations team that does the more traditional IT, and I have a development team which we call a DNA team, data and analytics team, that does everything around data, use of data, make sure that whatever we buy or produce of data is at a certain quality, and make sure we have a platform that supports the business in their decision making.
So just out of curiosity, the size of your team from when you started till compared to the team you have now, I bet it's substantially larger today than yours.
Also, Hafnia has evolved.
Yeah, that's true. It's a different company over time.
It is, yes.
Yeah. But you started, how many were you when you started?
Including me, we were 3 people.
Including,
in IT, and now
2 good colleagues in you.
Exactly.
And today?
Yes, we are 20.
You're 20, yeah. So that's just a 0 on, and
yes.
Then you have it, yeah. So that's quite something. And I also learned that you were with Microsoft previously. Before you came into shipping, you had a position as director of the Microsoft Technology Center in Copenhagen.
Yeah, that's true.
So coming into shipping almost 7 years ago, what surprised you most? You came from the tech world into shipping. What surprised you the most when you came into shipping at that time?
Well, when you stand outside shipping in the tech world, you tend to look at it as a kind of like an immature, technology-wise, an immature industry that has a lot of potential for improvements and developments and new features and stuff like that. But actually, I was surprised that shipping is a very old industry, right? And which means that there are a lot of well-known processes. It's actually a global industry. It doesn't exist just on an island of its own. So it actually interacts with the society around you, which means that there are a lot of actually quite mature processes and stuff like that, but also some old-fashioned ways of actually doing things. 7 years ago, I was surprised that we had a fax machine actually coming in. That was totally new for me. I remember them from...
Did you get an instruction to learn to
No, I remember it from back down in the 90s, how to use a fax machine, but I haven't seen one for the last 20 years or something like that. But also, it's an industry that's very keen on looking at new solutions. And as I said, it's extremely global. It's very diverse. On a ship, you can have people from all around the world on the same ship. So within Hafnia, I think we are 35 different nationalities. We are, of course, around 4,000 people, including everybody on the ships. But it's quite a lot of people, and in that way, it actually looks a little bit like the tech world, which is also quite diverse.
That's an interesting comparison actually between the two.
So it's both a very mature industry and a very high possibility for change on the IT side.
A lot of opportunities for change, that's for sure. I'm talking about fax machine. I bet there's a lot of the seafarers watching this podcast or hearing this podcast that are actually using still using fax machines and analog solutions, various types of paper still.
Yes.
So that is still around. But I'm also, at least the time that I've been looking into the sector, started to realize that there are also good reasons for a lot of these ways to do the things. So we also need some degree of humbleness about how, because the environment, how difficult it is, and different.
Looking at the sheer size of the vessels that actually goes around, you become humble when you see that actually between 12 and 20 people are able to operate a ship the size and actually get it into to port and out of port, and actually doing it on time and with the precision and in different conditions around the world. Doing it in the Arctic regions are quite difficult than doing it in West Africa or sailing through storms, and also you become humble. I'm sitting behind my computer and a safe desk somewhere, so it's my colleagues that actually sail around have a great respect for the work that they actually
it is important to have that respect. And if you should point at like a flagship project that you're running now, something that really it's close to your heart, something that you really believe in and regard as important, what would that be if you should point at something that change the rules, maybe even change the rules of the game, or at least are taking things in a certain direction?
Yeah, well, actually I think the whole world at the moment is looking in AI, right? And looking at least in my world, we are very excited about the possibilities of AI and how it's actually going to change the way that we work and the way that we actually produce and consume data going forward. Also, looking at the processes, shipping is a process-heavy industry. There's a lot of things that is done because we have been doing this the same way for the last 200 or 300 years, and therefore it kind of actually it lives within the industry as well. And looking at AI actually coming in and actually taking over on more and more of these processes, I think that's actually going to change not only shipping, but let's stay in that realm. It's going to change the way that we actually work together or interact with the different information types and data going forward.
I have this deep skepticism to this that I want to share with you, because I mean, I've also been studying parts of digitalization for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years, I'm afraid it is now. And I remember in the beginning there was so much talk about 3D print.
Yeah.
So everybody, it's also not, I remember you saying, well, they've changed factories, you don't have to transport so much anymore because you can just print it out at home. Then we had some years where blockchain was all over the place. We talked about so much. Blockchain will change all procedures, all the things we have. And now we talk about AI.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is this time it's real. This time you have a real change of the game. And you can say that certainly. I'll not come back, have a meeting with you 2 years from now and then say, well, we have another one on the list and that was AI.
In 2 years' time, I think we'll talk about quantum computing. Actually, it's going to change the world massively, actually. But yeah, back to you and the skepticism. I think it is fair to say that a lot of hype has been going around about technology actually and how it's going to change the world. But if you remember 30 years back, right, when internet actually was kind of the World Wide Web was actually the new hot thing. If you talked about people and big companies back then, and people would say, well, we're gonna do a lot of our grocery shopping, and actually it's gonna impact how we actually buy stuff, and we're gonna do that on the internet. People would say, yeah, you're crazy. It's never gonna catch on in the amount that we do. And now we see, most of actually all commodities are being traded more or less on the internet in a B&C environment, right? And you see the consequences of that in the society. Brick and mortar shops, they need to actually figure out how to actually survive in a world where the best platform for actually selling or trading is actually going on the internet.
If many of them can survive at all, that's another question.
Actually, Bill Gates, now me coming from Microsoft, actually once said, I think he said a lot of things, but one of the things he said that we always overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and underestimate it in the long term. And that means that we get kind of like a hype cycle actually going on with, this is gonna change the world in a different way. And over time, it actually changes more than we could actually.
Okay, so what you're saying is the whole things that we heard about 3D print and later blockchain, that will eventually happen, but it's just not. It's a timely got wrong.
Yeah,
it's not, I mean the hype is just overestimating short-term effects, but in the long term, we will see factory moves, and we will see new production methods, and we will see processes using blockchain that will change the way we have trade in shipping.
No doubt about it. As blockchain has a huge impact on our life already. Actually, all trades with cryptocurrency actually is actually relying on blockchain.
I don't go walk around buying so much with cryptocurrency, but that's some.
But
I should probably have invested.
Actually,
I have a friend who did that, and he's smiling a lot.
And actually, 3D printing is actually one of the things that you look at, saying, okay, if we want to cut down our carbon footprint on the world, we have to stop actually moving things around and actually start producing closer to home.
Do you work with 3D printing in Hafnia? I was thinking with spare part stuff and things like that.
Probably. But we have been testing it out on some things. Unfortunately, 3D printing, you need a very stable environment to doing, and a vessel is not always as stable as we want it to be. But then we come up with solutions saying, okay, maybe a ship could order a spare part, a more basic spare part next time it's in shore, and then actually have print shops actually at the ports. And you could then actually print the bespoke part for exactly that ship or that engine. So you don't need to have a warehouse, but you only need to have a warehouse of blueprints of what you need to print.
Talking about fancy new technologies, did you also think into the VR, the virtual reality, with the connectivity, and how do you talk with home?
Actually, we looked at it for several use cases. We looked at it for this shore to home. See, could we actually get a better connection between the seafarer and the home? It's one of the things that when you're on a ship, you're away from your family. Could we do something with virtual reality that actually gives you a better sensation of actually being able to follow your family at home? And that technology is actually evolving. It's still more on a experimental phase, but we also look at it in terms of education. It could be drills for different compliance frameworks that we need to perform drills or education. That it could also be, instead of actually flying a technician out to a ship, then actually having some VR tools. So we have a technician one place that can actually service more ships with VR tools. Actually,
you could imagine even also doctors. I mean, there's doctor centers that you can actually, if there's an accident.
That's actually also
used already, isn't it?
Use cases for it and used for that.
Yeah. We live really in a time of dramatic changes. Would you agree? I mean, dramatic changes in the maritime sector. Would you agree that it was very much the connectivity to the vessels, which is only maybe 1 or 2 years ago with the low orbit satellites, that really changed the game now? Because just to change it, I remember a few years ago I was actually at a seminar with the CEO of Hafnia, Michael Skov, where he was talking about digitalization. And still at that time it was very uncertain what would it actually mean, and what are the directions that it takes. And it was more like we need to have it, but without knowing what was that box that you needed to have. But that seems to change with, is that a right perception, that it seems to change with the fast internet now on the oceans? Because all these things that you can do with other industries is also now about to happen in shipping.
So, no doubt about it. The emergence of these low orbit satellites that are actually giving us high connectivity with the ships are changing the way that we can interact with the ships. It gives us the capability to actually kind of put cloud technology down on the ships with a real-time interface with the data actually being exchanged. So the ships become more digital and intelligent, so to speak, and a lot of the things where you're more pro you're more reactive. In the old days, you are going to a more proactive world where the ships actually are connected, and they can actually interconnect with and exchange information themselves about what actually goes on.
Would it be fair to say that it's probably the vessels, the ships that are the most interesting asset right now, change right now? That I have that sense, because for a long time these vessels didn't really change. I mean, there were the big change in the 70s, but if you take a dry bulk from late 60s, early 70s and compare it to a dry bulk from 2005, yeah, of course there was a little, but there was marginal changes in terms of capacity, speed, and all these things. But now, I mean, now we really see.
I'm not an architect, ship architect, so I don't know what.
Neither am I, but we can try to be a bit clever here anyway.
Yes.
No, but
probably
there have been other factors, but
yeah.
I mean, if you look at it historically, there was
in the
marginal
60s,
changes.
60s, 70s, and 80s, there were probably no IT or OT on the ships, right? It was levers and things that they used and stuff like that. And now, of course, there are sensors and everything that goes in, because if you buy an engine from MAN Diesel today, they will come with the sensors built in. So you can get a lot of information out of it if you are capable of actually getting it out and getting it into a kind of like an intelligent environment. And that is the big game changer for the ship side, I see. So we call it this Internet of Things, the IoT. Things you probably also see it in your homes and in your cars today, and everywhere where you go, you're getting monitored. And that
I feel that I'm driving around in a computer. I'm always worried about when will there be some cyber attack attacking my car while I'm driving.
That's made great movies about that, actually. So
but that's the same worry, even stronger with the vessels, right?
Yes.
Last question to you, Jan. That is relation to these seashore connections, which I'm extremely fascinated about how that changed and how fast it changed, and because of this speed of change between the relation between headquarters and the vessels, if you think or try to look like 3 or 4 years ahead, would we have a situation, that's the basic question, where more decisions are moving towards the land because of connectivity, and now you can route and you can do all the things on behalf of the vessel? Or are we facing the opposite, that actually more decisions that are now taken on land can now go onto these smart ships where you can actually take all decentralized decisions like computers around and so on? How do you see this relation between the sea and shore?
I actually think diplomatic answer is that I think both things would happen. Some things would move to shore, but a lot of things will also move out to the ships, so they will become more autonomous, the ships. And actually the thing about the Starlink satellite network gives us the capability to interconnect the ships. So the ships will probably be talking more to each other and learn from each other. So it kind of like this. There
will be not Starlink, but a shiplink.
Yeah, probably, and more things would. The seafarers will probably be more like a boss of an AI ship that they actually will drive, where the more basic actually functions will happen on the ship by itself, but they will actually then monitor and do that. Some of those processes about routing and stuff like that would probably move to services that would be handled by the shore team. But a lot of the things that the shore team do today will probably disappear and go into the AI world also. So.
Wow.
So I think we will see kind of like a disruption, but the complexity of decisions will probably be bigger. So the more basic stuff and more complex basic stuff will actually go into AI and interconnected layer, and then we'll put people on with the brains and the creativity on top of that one, right?
If just we could jump 5 years ahead and see what's going on in such vessel, that would be exciting.
And then go back and make some investments. That
would be cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And thank you so much. It was an interesting conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.